Hey folks, yeah, Larry here, Vans, Cars, and Trucks, Brooksville, Florida. Another small YouTube segment, and we're kind of picking up from our last one, and we highlighted some things about our business, what we have, what we offer, and I left you with a word for consideration, and that was relationships. And relationship means different things to different people. And I'm kind of a word guy, so I enjoy the language, and when I think of relationships, I think of the connections that tie things together. And in this spot here, we'd like to talk about what we do to make relationships happen. I learned a long time ago that really all our life, whether it's personal or professional, family, otherwise, the people we meet and greet, we have opportunities. And those relationships that we decide to build, that we make the effort to glue together, that we make the effort to make things happen, are really what makes all our lives much fuller, much better, much happier. A few thoughts for you is because relationships is about connections. There was a 1970 show. It was called Connections. British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC, promoted a documentary series that was so fabulous I was stuck on it back in the 70s, but you can find it on YouTube today. So go to YouTube and Google James Burke and Connections. But what that show does, it brings all these various things together that you would never think of. Small items from history, maybe technology, maybe finance, and maybe religion, and how these different items brought it together to a point, and it made huge cultural changes. And so you would never suspect that what was happening at the beginning of the show took place at the end, and it was about connections. Now that was about physical things, and the connections that we make are more emotional when we take about making connections with relationships. But the idea is that we have to share with you now is we all work together, one fashion or another, or we don't work together, and it doesn't work at all. But the concept that no man is an island, I learned a long time ago sitting in this building kind of by myself, having one helper outside, a partner that was also involved, but we were very small. I realized early on that my successes weren't because I was a mechanic, because I'm not. It wasn't because I was a good salesman, because I'm not that either. But it was really because of the connections that I could make with people and build relationships. So my proudest points that I have to offer are the friends that I have, both in the business and in the industry and amongst our customer base. And over 30 years or thereabouts, I still have families of those original customers that come back to us today. And we're so proud to have that. That's really, really, really special. And when you talk about relationships and trust, those are those special things, because you have to put yourself out there to trust people, and you have to put yourself out there to build those relationships. It doesn't happen by itself. It takes work, it takes effort. Sometimes it's a little bit painful in the process, but if you build your families and if you build your relationships with your friends, you're finding that you're always extending yourself in one fashion or another. And there's some kind of a law of the universe that says that what you put out there is what you get in return. Sometimes we've been burned along the way. We all know that. We're in business. We know what that's about. But, if you live in the rearview mirror, constantly, you will never know what you're going to have out in front of you. So at some point, you have to look ahead and extend yourself again amongst those people. You don't have to make silly decisions in the process. There are some quotes I love about trust, and I'll share some with you here now, because Ronald Reagan had a good one, politician / Hollywood actor. He lived in the Cold War era of, Russia, the Cold War, breaking down the wall. But his quotation on that was, trust but verify. So think about that world that he lived in and how that quote came about. But trust but verify. Trust takes time to build. It can take moments to break, and it can take a long time to repair. So you have to be careful about those trusts and those relationships, and you have to really, really, really value those things that you have. Ernest Hemingway, he had a good quotation, a good thought, and he put down, the best way to find out who you can trust is to trust them. He's a wordsmith. He wrote books, Old Man and the Sea and all that kind of stuff. Albert Einstein, all these famous brainiacs that are out there, they considered what we're talking about. he put out there, whoever is careless with truth in small matters cannot be trusted with important matters. That's Albert Einstein. Joseph Stalin, if you're not familiar with him, look him up historically. He's a very important figure. WW1 leading to WW2. Many thousands of lives were lost because of this individual, and his quotation on trust was, "I trust no one, not even myself." Think about the mind that went through there. But the idea of trust and relationships is really what life is about. And here we are at Vance Cars and Trucks. I'm not sitting alone anymore. We got 12 employees, hundreds and hundreds of customers. I'm ever so proud of all of them as they move their lives ahead. I had a little personal interview today with one of my newest employees. We had a one-on-one. I didn't realize that we were at the 5-year point for him. It kind of sneaks up on me at my age. The years and days get away from me. But he brought it up to me. He says, "This is my 5 years," and I was kind of shocked. And when I thought about him 5 years ago, I actually didn't want to hire him. And he knows that today. We've had some small discussions about it. I don't make all the decisions here, hire or fire. I've learned to delegate those responsibilities and to trust those people that make those decisions. And the person that decided to hire him saw something in that young 18-year-old man who is, going on 24 today. He saw something in that young man that offered something that was kind of special. And here we are 5 years later, and he's fantastic. And so that trust, what we put in him years ago, he didn't know how to clean a car, or detail a car, or anything, and here he is today. He's doing all kinds of multiple duties. He has grown his life ahead. He's paying a mortgage. He's paying for a car for his mom. He's paying on his own car. I'm ever so proud of that individual. And when I think about the people that are around me that we have built relationships with, it's those trust items that come to bear. Never to be thought lightly about. The key to all that, just like this lock I have here, I was trying to find the key to it, and I've got lots of keys, and I was trying to find a lock to it, but you know what, after looking at these keys, I told Jimbo, just give me another lock, because sometimes it's better just to start fresh in that respect. And also we also have to learn how to measure up to the equation. So we have to measure up ourselves when we have those relationships that we're building. We have to do our part. We have to extend ourselves. And this goes to yourself and your relationships as well. It's about communication. And we're always promoting our own ideas and yelling at somebody, and it's our point of view, and we want to be heard. Everybody wants to be heard. I do too. But you know what? It's not the bullhorn that gets the attention. It's when you can seriously sit down and look at somebody and listen with your 2 ears that you can start to communicate. It's the lack of communication that's really the key to any successful relationship. It's also the lack of communication that destroys those relationships, and that's for all of us. So Vance Cars and Trucks, Brooksville, Florida. We want to earn your trust. We do want to build a relationship. Of course, we offer cars in that process and trucks. And it's through those connections that we have of supplying a car, a vehicle, whatever you might need, that we want to build those relationships on. So thank you very much. And don't forget Connections, James Burke, British Broadcasting Company. Enjoy that on YouTube. You can see what took place 40 years ago and what made me think about it.